Ooh, this hangout is live. All right. So I sent again the invites and whatnot and a request for ideas to discuss last minute, i.e. an hour ago. So we have one thing on the agenda, which is the stats stuff. What do we do with regards to a couple of methods and with regards to a couple of stats that we gather and how we go about solving these? But before we do this, I want to talk about my preferred subject, me. And more specifically in this case, XML. So I did all this XML stuff that we discussed last time. It's pretty much everything is almost done. And I had a crazy idea, and I just wanted to seed it with you guys. And I was thinking that maybe I could do that since I have the luxury of being traveling and sitting on a plane for long times in the very near future. I could actually implement this by Monday. And the thought is this one. In 107, when you ask for a cache manager, you can provide a URL that points to something that describes what this cache manager, how this cache manager should be initially configured, right? How and what and all that is all up to the implementer. So we did it the XML way based on what we discussed. Well, I did it, well, we have the XML stuff based on what we discussed last time with the extension point, and I'm about to finish, like today, for the JSON 107, how would I put it? The features that it doesn't support, so that's good. So as far as I can tell, it's all going to work without requiring anybody to do any code changes. That's nice. But I thought, hey, what about writing XML is just horrible. What about we provide other means of configuring? And I was thinking, what about trying to make it so that you point to an URL, we try to figure out what the URL is, its MIME type. If we can, we ask for a parser that can parse this MIME type. Oh, no, it all breaks apart, I realize. Crap. Oh, maybe not. Maybe we can use namespaces just as much in this other thing by convention. And I was thinking about writing a JSON one.
Well, what? The namespace is shit's the problem with the thing that says it can parse it. If its MIME type is freaking MIDI data, then it's up to the thing that reads the MIDI data to figure out what the earth that means.
That's actually true. Actually,
I mean, it's doable. I don't know if it's valuable. I don't
know. I just felt so dirty writing so much XML for an XSD and whatnot.
You'd have to come up with an accepted list of MIME types that you'd accept.
No, you just use the service provider to look for configuration consuming services, and they would declare what MIME types they understood, exactly. And then you'd match that to the one that can understand your type, and then you feed it the URL and tell it to go pull the data.
It's basically another discovery one level below the XML namespace.
The only really sensible use I can think of putting this thing to would be an ability to understand configs from other people. So being able to take a Confluence config or a Hazelcast config or a Coherence config or whatever. Confluence. No, I said Confluence. Basically, being able to take another provider's config and run off there.
It's just basically as soon as
you want two different ways of configuring it.
Actually, it's true. For the extension points, it doesn't really make sense, right? If we don't have a what is it, lingua
franca,
right? It's not really useful because every provider has to provide multiple things.
I mean, potentially what you could do is you could specify not that. The content of what you could do.
Well, you can embed XML in anything else.
Before you did that, what I would suggest is that rather than doing that, you would enhance this. If you were looking for a way to enhance it and something to do while you flew to India, which is a long time, assuming you don't sleep on planes, then I would enhance it not so that you can do arbitrary config languages, but so that the content of a service tag is not just is either something in another XML namespace, or it's a piece of C data.
That's supported. It works now. It's up to you to figure it out. I give you XML because that's the bit that's in there.
I guess you could embed C data inside you have to have an XML tag and a namespace declared. for us to be able to find your parser. Your parser can then say that I know that the content of my single XML tag is going to be a piece of YAML or something.
That takes 5 minutes, Chris. It's just basically opening the service thing to either have another thing in it or a piece of C data, and I'm done. But I can.
But yeah, but it still has to have an XML schema.
No, in this case, no. I don't know. In which
How would you find the parser?
You just have to have a provider that accepts that namespace.
So how do two different set? Well, no, but there's
no
name.
Chris. Yes, it would have to have an XML namespace so that we can look the XML parser up.
Right, and it has to have a schema.
No.
Because the XML parser, the top-level XML parser, is going to validate against the set of all schema it can find. If there's a tag that doesn't exist, the parse will fail.
All right, and you cannot do that because you wouldn't have a root node.
Yes, if you have no schema, there is no root node. You can't tell whether it's a valid thing to be a
So you
namespace
need
or
to
not.
have the nested thing, even with the C data.
I mean, you could have a really dumb, stupid schema. Maybe we can provide one for people that want to do arbitrary C data chunks. But then you have the problem, what if there are two services that want to be configured with C data?
Forget about it. It was a
which one's
stupid idea. It was a stupid idea.
I mean,
No, it's nice.
It's not a stupid idea. It's a solution looking for a problem.
No, it's a solution that makes the life of anybody that wants to write an extension to the config a hell, because it needs to possibly support all the crap that's out there.
Well,
and that's horrible.
Anyway,
maybe not. I'll give it some more thoughts. Maybe I can have it so that
like all conversations about XML, this is a bad idea.
Yeah, that's true. All right, enough. I wanted to waste 5 minutes on that. It's more than that.
Success.
Cool. Stats. All right. So I guess I'll let Hung introduce the subject because I've forgotten what we discussed yesterday evening already.
Okay, first off, that this is clear. What do we do about it?
So, for Ehcache 3, you will implement it over my dead body.
Yeah.
There is no way on the planet I want that thing. It doesn't make any sense. There's just no semantic that makes any sense for it.
I don't think we should support it.
Like it's just universally a poor man's way of doing window stuff. For 107, obviously, well, it's actually not obvious that we have to support it.
Yeah, you have to because of the TCK. Except if you want to pick that battle up.
Yes, you can either support it and pass TCK, or you can choose not to implement it properly, and then have the argument about the TCK that it's actually not enforcing the spec; it's enforcing somebody's perverse reading of the spec, which isn't actually correct. But the problem is, it would descend into a bad discussion, that one. Anyway. So we have support it for 107, but I don't think we want it in 3. So I think the stats framework can be made to do it by rebaselining. Although
the stats framework?
Well, it's possible to implement it on top of the stats framework by rebaselining.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. And my take was that we do that inside the...
The class that we do the rebaselining in will be in the 107 wrapper, but it will implement an interface from the stats framework, and it will plug into the stats framework, I think.
Yeah, maybe. You can do that.
It's
implemented at the wrapper layer, right? We agree.
Yes, there are some interesting things, though, about what happens, for example. So clear... Let me find this.
On the stats, right? When you say clear, you mean...
On the stats. The statistics clear. At this point, at all point I'm talking, unless I've stressed something else, I'm talking about... Let me try and find the damn thing now. Clear, okay. According to the spec PDF, I assume the Java doc that's pasted into here is the same as the Java doc in the real spec. Maybe someone else can confirm that to me. Clear says... clears the statistics counters to 0 for the associated cache.
So latency goes to 0?
There's the question. If you clear the counters to 0, what happens to the latency?
It's not a counter, yeah.
It's not a counter.
Not a number.
The ideal thing for us is nothing, and it carries on doing what it was doing before. And because clearing the counters is easy, you re-baseline. But if you want to be able to clear the latency, it forces you to have to be able to go in and clear the derived statistic, which either means we have to re-implement all that stuff in 107 so you can clear it, or we have to put the support for clearing those derived things in the framework implementations, which is just annoying. I guess you could actually no, there is an easy way of clearing it. You can unregister the existing latency monitor and
re-register it.
And you black the data away. Okay, so it's not technically difficult. It's just a pigger thing to decide what the correct thing is to do. I guess we'll have a look in the TCK.
But what we're saying is that for Hung, what it means is it needs to provide a mean. I guess at the Ehcache level is where I would do that. For someone to be able to get hold of the statistics in there and do all that stuff.
Well, it doesn't have. I guess you can implement this thing in two ways. One is you can implement it inside the as an observer inside the stats framework that allows you to reset the counts. Or it can just be implemented purely in 107 over the existing API. Because all it's got to do is when you
the existing API is the one that you can't get hold of right now outside of the Ehcache, right? It's not exposed in any way.
Right.
But 107 presumably can get to it.
Well, if we make it so that it's feasible, yes.
Okay, so all Hung needs to make it possible to do is to get access to the counters. Because you can just read the values, record what the values were, and then just have a little map of
either that or just deregister and re-register the observer.
No, you can't deregister and re-register to reset the counts in the stats framework. It doesn't work. Counts in the stats framework are maintained all the time.
Oh, even if you remove the thing.
Yeah, because we figured they are such low overhead.
GC'd.
They are so low overhead.
There's no mileage to do that.
There's no mileage. There's no point in having them be disabled, so they're always on. They're striped atomic counters. It should. I mean, once everything settles down, they're as low cost as just incrementing an integer in a memory location. If you're monitoring the stats on something where that's a significant performance overhead, you're probably monitoring some pretty. At that point, we can think about rejigging the stats framework if you get to the point where that's the overhead.
Okay. Cool.
So I think for the moment, all Hung has to do is I would just make sure that 107 can programmatically get to the statistics counts. To just literally call a method that says this is what the count is. But my understanding is that should be available.
Yeah, that's the stats then. That's
right.
All we need.
So that's what it needs.
Okay.
For that.
Okay.
The second question is more complicated, is my understanding.
So as far as I'm concerned, I don't have to do anything. Because...
No, when Tim takes on the, I think it was understanding that Tim Eck was going to take on the 107 stuff.
Okay.
So Tim will have to do that then, but it should be pretty trivial.
Right.
When you call clear, go in and read every counter, record that as a new baseline, and just always return the current count minus that.
I think that's what I do in the.
Yeah, it's probably what you have to. Well, no, because there was a clear in 2x.
Oh, was there? Okay.
I believe so. Maybe you're not using it.
I don't know. Whatever.
The only thing that slightly concerns me is it might be worth somebody looking into the TCK to see if it does if it asserts anything about what the latency does.
Well, I can do that right now by reading the code that I wrote. Let me check. Jake, why are there no statistics? Where is this thing?
Maybe
it's in the stats. No, it's only to the GMX.
Only through the bean.
Oh yeah, you're right. So there is a Ehcache. Wait a sec. Something's fishy here. Something's utterly fishy. Okay, never mind what I said. I have no clue what I'm looking at. I'm scared to even go look. Check that. Okay, as far as I can tell, this isn't. Was I looking at the wrong thing? This isn't tested for.
What, the statistics or the clear?
Go read this. I'm not sure if I can't paste questions. That would be too easy. Okay, go read this. It's the first method on top.
Jcache.clear.
Clear calls removal. Okay, so it looks like that's not tested.
So it looks like that's not being tested,
Ugh,
and you might want to file an issue against. So then, okay, so there's an ethical question here.
Wait a sec, because maybe I'm missing. You know what? Maybe there is another thing, because you can turn them off and turn them on again, right? So maybe that's the way it is.
Does that imply clearing them?
I don't know.
That's an interesting question, because there's also another vague, weird statement. Where is it? Statistics are accumulated from the time a cache is created. They can be reset to 0 using cache clear. Does that mean that they're collected even if the statistics are disabled? I don't know.
It's badly written.
Enable statistics, Jcache, terminal
The
pointer.
sentence after that's
enable
No, but we know what they want to say, Chris.
We know what they want
We
to
know the
say.
behavior they want. And
Well, I tell you what the
to
behavior
some
should
degree-
be.
well, yeah, but we know what the behavior is they wanted. So we're sort of like, to your point,
What's this?
morally, we should sort of do what they wanted because we do know that. It's not like we're lost. We know what they want.
Well, but then there's the
Much as
statement
we
there are no
disagree
defined
with it
consistent.
from a
Then there's there are no defined
yeah,
consistency
but
semantic
guardhouse
statistics.
lawyering. I mean, that's
Yeah.
we know what they want.
But if
We
the
know
TCK
what they
isn't,
wanted.
if the TCK isn't testing the clear, can
It
we
will
just, in the
eventually-
interest of being sensible, throw an unsupported operation exception and say we don't do this
We don't do this.
because
Well,
we think it's a bad idea?
That's a good idea. Let's try. Let's have Tim try that, and let's see if it breaks anything.
If
you have
it
a syntax
passes for the
exception,
moment,
leave it to
then we
that.
can always just leave it like that until they fix the TCK and then fix it at that point.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ehcache Jcache is on the list of approved things, and it clears the cache when you call clear. So
True.
Probably should file a bug to fix that in our own
you
code.
probably should find a bug to fix that.
Gonna do that.
For unsupported operations.
And another thing to do on the plane. How about that?
That'll take you a long time, that one.
Okay, so that's it. Wait and see how the TCK behave for cache clear.
Yeah, well, for you, you don't need to do anything because if it's going to be fixed, it'll be fixed at the
Right.
-7 layer by Tim. But either way, yeah, we'll probably wait
Right.
and see what the TCK requires there.
Yeah, I'm taking it at from my perspective. I need to finish up my task so
Yeah.
I can move on next
Yes.
week.
Okay, cool.
It's not like we're done for his catch as
No.
far as concerned. Okay.
Okay.
So the next item is get time latency shouldn't account for read through. So we're not supporting parsing in statistic module.
hmm
So we kind of accidentally account for read through time. With again the spec. The question is, do we care?
God.
So the TCK, there is no way they can make the TCK
Test for that.
fail you or test for this because the defense is always, well, my numbers are right. How are you going to prove a latency number's wrong?
Well,
It's not possible. Just isn't. You never know what's happening in the attempt
well,
to call the frame.
not without being able to mock time. You can't do this.
No,
So,
and it can't. So it
Right.
can't. So
So just
I
leave it.
mean, I'm inclined to leave it, but it is. The question is, what are people interested? Okay, so before we answer the question of what should we do, what do people expect? If somebody's got a cache that uses cache through, so it's got a cache loader, or cache reader, whatever you want to call it. What do people expect when they look at the mean latency of a get? Do they expect to see with or without the loader call? Do they care?
Again, I would say again, we know what the spec wants.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, we know that the spec.
I mean, if the TCK doesn't, I mean, what is the formally? What is the hoop? Like, if you say you pass the TCK, and then but you have an errata that you have these 3 issues that it doesn't test for, and you
formally,
Like-
it's a good faith thing. But I think the official line is if you pass the TCK, you are a.
And what
I
do you
don't know-
get
I-
for that, by the way? What
I
do you
don't
get
know
for
what-
passing the TCK, by the way?
You get well, if you have a legal right to license the TCK, or if your license that you acquired TCK through allows you to publish the fact that you passed it. Bearing in mind, it's possible to get access to a TCK, but not a license to actually claim
Right.
that you passed it. Which we do for a certain amount of time because of our role in development of the standard. Then you're allowed to claim that you are a compliant spec.
And somebody correct me, but the JSON 107 TCK is dual license, right?
Yeah, so I believe that we will forever be able to do that.
Right.
It's Apache license, yeah.
At the
as
moment,
well as the other
we
license.
actually get it through a proprietary license, but in future we
But
could
it
just
is,
switch to using the Apache license and be fine too. So
Yeah,
the
but
point
then
is
you
we
can't
can-
claim that you're compliant, right? That wasn't that the whole.
What?
Then you can't claim that you're compliant
What?
if you don't. I don't know. My
I'm
understanding
not
is
sure.
you
It
need to
depends on the
clear out all
license
the
you use for TCK. I thought that the license that TCK was released under for 107 allowed people who pulled
Oh,
it.
cool. Maybe. I'm not good
Anyway,
with
whatever way. In principle, once you pass TCK, you can claim compliance. I don't know what happens if you. I mean, is there some kind of good faith thing whereby whereby if you pass
That's
TCK, but you know you don't-
93.2% of the TCK.
Oh no! If
No,
one
no.
of the
Or,
if one of those
so what
methods
if you?
fails,
But what
might
if you
not be
pass a
fine.
bunch? What if you pass it, but a bunch of stuff that it doesn't test? You roll right past.
I don't know. What happens? Yeah, what happens if there's a gap in a TCK and you know that you've not implemented it per the letter of the spec? I don't know, because that's what we're kind of talking
That's what we're
about.
talking about here. Yes, that is exactly
Now-
what we're talking about.
From my point of view, the way I would like to see it work in the Ehcache is that the statistics framework won't actually. If you have a the way the statistics framework that works in 2x at the moment works. If you have a statistic on an operation, you cannot directly get the latency of an operation. You can only get the latency of a result of the operation. So you can ask, what's the cache latency of a get when it misses? What's the cache latency? What's the latency of a get when it hits? You can form a compound of those two things and then ask the latency of the compound. But directly, it won't let you. There's no way of directly saying, what's the latency of a get? You have to say, form me a compound that's a merge of all the results of a get, and then what's the latency of that? So to my mind, what I'd like to see for 3 is that a get that falls through to the loader is a distinct outcome. And therefore, if you want to know what's the cache latency when I don't have to load, it's hit. What's the cache latency when I do have to load? It's
And hit.
load
What's the cache?
Load and
What's the
hit, yeah.
cache latency when I have to load and miss?
and hit. Load and miss, yes, that would be separate too. So you basically break it down really fine, and then you don't have to worry about it because to a certain extent, people don't care what the spec is trying to get to here is people want to know what's the latency of my cache when I hit it, not what's the latency. But really, what they want to know is they want to know what's the latency of my cache when it does a bunch of distinct things. What's the latency when I hit? What's the latency when I miss and have to go to the loader and the loader misses? What's the latency when I miss and have to go to the loader and the loader hits and then I load it?
Yeah, that's what we should do.
So the question is, can we model that in the Ehcache 3 and then tell a slightly smaller lie in 107 and report the average of all cache gets that did not require the loader for that?
But why don't we want to express the entire thing?
Well, so what 107 wants is what's the average latency of all cache get operations
Yeah.
Yes.
when, if any time was spent in the loader, you subtract that time out on an operation by operation basis. That's what it asks for. That's the problem. That's what Hung's saying. That's why Hung's saying the stats framework as it stands doesn't allow you to pause or suspend an operation. And I don't really want to have to introduce it because I think it's weird and doesn't really make much sense. It's doable, but it will also require it
That's
complicates the
true.
stats frame requirement.
Why is it good? What? Yeah, maybe I should know.
But like I said, I think that this is a slightly skewed or morphed way of saying what I was just saying, which is what you really care about is what's the latency of a get broken down by the nature of what the result was or what the get entailed.
Wait a sec. Is this really true? What I was saying because you can drop the operation on the floor, right? So you can say you do a get, and Hung, correct me. I know you pasted that in the chat room earlier, so maybe I'm talking nonsense. But if you do a get and you miss, but you have a cache loader and you load, and you found something, this is a put, right? Or is it not?
It counts as a put
No.
in accounts, right?
It doesn't count as a put.
Oh no, it doesn't.
No.
Does it? Not according to the table.
But it's physically a put. That's a mutation you do.
I know.
Anyways,
but,
no, not useful to discuss this.
Yeah, but it's a put to the store, not a put to the cache.
Right.
Fuck, heck
That's
yeah,
true.
it is.
Right.
Come on, Chris.
Well, I know it is really, but
Exactly the same thing.
this is what I was.
But the
This is,
fact specifically say it doesn't count.
yes, this is why it's perverse because the. Here you go. So if you look at on get average get times, the mean time to execute gets, and then it says in a read-through cache, the time taken to load an entry on miss is not included in get time.
But what are you measuring? I shut up. Shut up. It's irrelevant.
This is the problem. I want to separate this into two discussions. One is what should Ehcache 3 do,
Measure the
and the
real
other
stuff.
is what?
Measure the real stuff, and then have
Yeah.
it so that we give the best we can. Right? We could have a put that has an outcome from loader, right? Whether it comes from a get, a put if absent, we don't care. It's a put that comes from the loader. And if we need to then include this in the compound thing that we return as part of the time that blah, 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 or not,
Yeah.
so be it.
No. Okay. Yeah. Yes. But I would say that if you have a get that misses, calls the loader, loads a value, and then puts the value and then returns it from the get, you can either record that as one operation that was a get that hit the loader and returned, and loaded and returned, whatever you want to shorthand that to, or leave it as.
Can we step back for a sec,
It could
actually?
be two operations.
Wait, so talking about Ehcache, what is it that as a user I care about? I think I care about the whole thing, like how much time I
It takes
spend
to get.
getting to my data. Whether
Right.
it comes from the cache, whether it goes to the, I don't care.
Well,
Getting-
But you might care to look at the latencies or the latency distributions in particular
yeah,
of those two things independently.
yeah, but then that's where I was going to, I think, maybe get at. So when you remember the tiering discussion, I think I had that one with you, Chris, most probably. We did say we wanted to start measure, on the per store, and I think the stats framework lets you do this today, right? So that you can build this graph and you can tell exactly what happened at every tier,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
And-
you can
and
do that. It doesn't do it now, but
basically-
you can do it.
Basically, why do you care about those figures? You care about those figures to try to figure out what you gain or where you lose time where you wouldn't expect
Yep.
it. So what are the candidates is basically what I'm asking.
For what? For monitoring?
Well, for being the thing that make you gain or lose time.
The loader itself, the store when you put, the store when you miss initially,
Right.
and that's it. In
That's
an
a good
operation
one.
that follows that path.
Can I nest operations?
Yes.
So can I
you can-
say
Yes.
so we
you can-
can measure the time?
That's what I was
it
going to
takes-
say. You can have. So the obvious thing to do is to have the get be bounded by a statistic operation demarcation that says the get started, the get finished, and this is exactly what path I followed effectively. I hit, I missed, and then hit the loader, and then the loader returned a value, and then I installed the value, and then I returned the value, or I missed and I hit the loader, and the loader said there wasn't anything there, and then
But can I have this as
also
a-
within that monitor things beneath that. You could
Right.
monitor the loader directly.
exactly,
you
and
could
then you
monitor the put to the store.
subtract the two, and then you don't lie. You actually give really what just 107 wants. I still challenge that.
Can't
what
do it.
just how- what
Can't
you
do
mean,
it.
why?
Math doesn't work. So what you're gonna monitor? Well, you can kind
Oh,
of.
can, yeah. I
So
think
if you
can
monitor,
well
right,
enough.
what you need to do, this is the math you have to do. You want to get the average latency of the get that called to the loader, subtract from that the average latency of the loader. Then you want to take the average latency of the gets that didn't hit the loader. Then you have to do the weighted average of those two numbers.
Yes.
Okay.
And don't forget, we're talking about like averages here, right? I mean.
So in reality, these latency numbers are kind of useless because they're only averages, and we really want them.
Yeah, exactly. So this is what I'm like. I don't really want to do like impossible stuff, but that sounds feasible.
Okay, that's
I agree
feasible.
that you're the one that said, it's sort of best intent, right? So like goodwill. Let's put our goodwill into this. I still challenge that those values are of any usage for anyone in the real world, but that's just
anyway. Okay.
So let's not even start.
Did that make sense, Hung? The thing I described.
Not to me, no.
Okay, so what you need to I'll describe it one more time, and if it doesn't make sense this time, because maybe if I didn't make sense to you, maybe it didn't make sense to people watching too. If it doesn't make sense this time, we'll do it offline. So
on the mailing list, because I think we have further questions to answer, by the way, and we're already 35 minutes in.
Yeah, sorry. Do you want me to not repeat myself then? Or
no,
not?
Sure. Go ahead, do it.
Okay, so we want, what JSR 107 wants is the average of all things excluding the loader time. So the way we can get that is to take the average of all things that didn't touch the loader, so all gets that hit, right? Put that aside. Then get the average of all gets that used the loader, and then get the average of all of how long the loader takes on its own, which you can add because you can add a statistic that monitors the loader. All right, make sense?
Right.
So then, if you take the average for the amount of time spent calling a get which calls the loader, and subtract the average of the amount of time spent in the loader, that gives you the average time spent in a get when calling the loader without taking into account the time spent in the loader. So now you've got these two averages for the amount of time spent in a get.
I think maybe an email might be useful.
Yeah, and then you have to do a weighted average of those two averages.
All right, put the math in an email and send it to the mailing list.
Okay, I will put the math in an email and send it to the mailing list.
So, do we need to do this for JSR 107 Alpha?
I would say yes. Let's put the proper recording in. No. Well, actually, look at even the brighter side. It's not your problem, really. The math is for Tim. The formula that Chris just described is for Tim to implement.
What you need to do,
is put the proper probes in the right place so that Tim has the variables it needs in order to do the equation.
So you need to add a new statistic on the brackets the call to the loader, and you need to make sure there's a distinct outcome on a get that covers the case when it calls the loader.
Okay.
And all the declination of that for all the other things that imply the writer, probably, because I think the same applies. But once you get it, once you grok it for the loader, it's exactly the same thing applied exactly the same thing applied fundamentally. From a stat perspective, it's exactly the same thing.
So let me please note that I am to add a new get outcome to collect time spent in the loader.
Yeah, so we want to get outcome that says, I finished doing this get and I called the loader.
Okay.
And then you also want to add a new statistic for the loader.
Right.
To record how long we spent in the loader.
So
that's basically two new stats.
No.
One new statistic and one new outcome for an existing statistic.
New statistic and one new outcome.
Yep. I'm going to send an email.
Okay.
I'm starting to write it now because I'm going to multitask.
Yeah, it's probably, also for Tim's sake.
Also, yeah.
Okay, cool. But there is more, right?
Okay.
Yes.
The next one.
Maybe I should write it now.
Pull all and remove all with the iterable. How do we... looks like from the spec, we need to count every single thing that we put in. The same for remove.
Wow. It says the spec doesn't contradict itself.
Well, we have good faith again.
Yeah. So the removal that takes both removals. This is where A107 has a distinction between removal and clear. Both the removals, the one that takes a set and the one that just removes everything, both say one removal per entry that is removed. The put-alls don't say that. They just say puts.
No, but we checked that. The way that I implemented it, I can tell you the TCK
It
test
requires
Yeah.
the count.
Yeah.
Not surprised. That's what they want.
So
honestly, yeah, I think that.
I mean, that's pretty clear that that's what they want. So
the problem here is there's a disconnect between the way 107 does things and the way our statistics framework does. So the statistics framework wants to monitor the statistics of Java operations, not of conceptual operations. So 107 wants to monitor conceptual things. A put. So when you do a put-all, conceptually it is just a put of n things. So it's n puts in Java in 107 line. To us, it's completely different. It's a put-all. So the classic example would be when I do a get-all. If I get all and I do a get all with a collection of 10 keys, it increments the 10 the count of gets by 10, right? Under 107's conceptual operation principle. Yeah. What does it do to the latency of gets?
Excuse it?
I bet it just says plus 10.
I don't know.
In the reference implementation, I bet it just does plus 10, and your latency is really wonky for a bit.
Yeah, this is why we took the approach of you can only monitor a Java operation because what you really care about when you're looking at statistics is how is this code path performing, and if the code path's different,
so this code path is
it's a different statistic. But the problem is the really detailed spec on what's supposed to happen when you call these things in 107 mandates that we either break that code path association or we force ourselves to do suboptimal code
No,
path.
that's not true. There is one thing we need to know. Again, we can skew all that. Meaning, we can fudge the numbers even more than they already are with all the crazy ass stuff we discussed. Oops, sorry, this is an 18 plus hangout again.
Well, I didn't even notice what you said. My brain's obviously...
I said ass. I shouldn't have said that.
I don't know, does that count?
Just
call the FCC.
All right. So, what was I saying now? Crap, lost it.
No, yes. That was another one we got to check.
The one thing we need to know is how many things were actually mutated, right?
Yes.
But so otherwise, you do a weighted thing again, and you add it to the other weighted thing that you already have. It gets all very fuzzy, but I mean, if that's what they want.
So in the Ehcache 3, we can monitor the put-all separately and attach an observer to the put-all statistics that sums up how many things are put.
Yeah, but how do you do that?
And then, how do you do that? That's easy.
That's easy?
In the statistics framework, yeah.
Yeah, in the statistic frameworks, I can believe it's easy, but...
And then it just has to be exposed to an API in Ehcache 3 that can be used by the 107 wrapper to sum the total number of things and put all. So what I would say is that we do a mix. So when you ask for the count of puts from the 107 wrapper, it's going to return the sum of all put operations plus the sum of all puts that occurred due to put all operations. When you ask for the put latency, I don't think there is such a thing, but substitute put for get. When you ask for the latency of gets, you get the latency of the get operations and it just ignores the get all operations and says, because that doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. There's no way you can combine those in any way that makes any...
No, but I could argue exactly the same thing with the loader. I mean, why?
Right. Yes. But
why averages? Why? We could discuss this forever. But
yes. No, I know. But I think that it's not explicit when it says. So the language used for the latency is where is it? The mean time to execute gets. So I'm going to interpret that as meaning the average time it takes to execute the get method. I mean, the other thing is what happens. What about if I put in that table? Where is it? Replace counts as a hit or a miss. Does that mean that I should somehow weight that into my gets? It's obvious at that point that get is referring to the Java method, not the conceptual operation of retrieving a value from the cache, which has to be done by a large number of different things.
Okay, good. Fair enough.
So on the same grounds, get all doesn't count. So I think that we need to every time that a put all or a get all or any kind of bulk operation happens, we need to. You can pass the enteriness, the sort of the number of things that we're operating on, as a parameter out through the statistic. Then we can add things that's an observer that's going to sum that first parameter.
No, wait. It's not that way. Well, I'm not sure what you meant now, but it's the things that are actually being removed, not requested for removal, right?
Okay, sure. Yeah, whatever. I don't care.
Okay.
Basically, if you look at the statistics framework and you end a statistic, the signature is end. You pass an enum instance indicating the outcome, and then there's a long vararg that allows you to pass in a bunch of opaque parameters that will be passed on transparently to all chained observers off of that statistic. So then you can chain an observer off of that just sums that thing.
Yeah.
Just increments, just sums all those values together, and then you can use that to provide your put all count, which you can sum later.
Yeah, and so the same for whatever's removals, I guess.
For all those bulky things, yes.
Yeah. All right, cool. That sounds good. So that's all solved now, or is there more?
There's no example of this anywhere in the system.
What, of one of the thumbs?
Yes.
There might be.
I don't remember. I looked a bit. I didn't see one.
That's a different problem, though. Well,
I could be wrong.
we can
But it's
figure
not-
it out offline.
Yeah.
That's not important. Okay, so more problems, Hung, or
Oh, I'm sorry. What did we decide for put on and people on again?
We're gonna keep a count of how many put all operations, how many values were put through put all, how many values were retrieved using get all, how many values were removed using removal, and then you're going to expose that. And then when Tim writes the 107 layer, he will sum that with the number of put operation calls there were to get the total number of things that were put. Details to be decided after this meeting about how that is achieved. And whether or not
Well,
there's
it's
existing
in
examples of that
code.
being achieved. It's just code.
yeah, that's just code.
Yeah,
It's conceptually it's solved.
What do you expect me to do?
You're going to have to do the work to maintain the count of how many things have been put through a put all and got through and removed through removal. It's not that complicated, I promise. Well, no more
You just
complicated
have
than
a
anything
count
else.
how many put on we move on.
It's not that bad. Trust me.
Okay.
Again,
By the
you
way.
guys can
I'm not alone.
just get in a hangout.
Yeah,
right?
hang out and go
Do
over
that.
it.
Okay.
The important bit is the conceptual stuff, at least for this meeting. It's solved, so that means that's good. Just needs to be coded. No problem. So, further problems? Or
Yes.
was
The
that...
last problem I have is latency number showing up at NAND at the moment.
Well, that's probably correct, though. So, what is the problem with that? Because I'm missing that.
Only every time, sir. Not a number at the moment. Whether
Is this-
I run through 1,000 get or 1,000 put, and the time is still NAND.
Oh, you mean
Okay.
it's always they're not being updated?
Yeah,
So that's
right.
probably a bug, I guess, in this case. Right?
That's the whole reason why I have not a number
Okay.
restriction. Because
No,
I
no,
can't
okay.
make
Sounds like
it
a bug.
change to something.
Well, that's a
well,
bug. I don't want to discuss it now.
No, that's a bug in the implementation.
Well, there is a problem surrounding this, but I don't know whether.
What problem? There is no problem.
So no, there is a problem.
Well, then in
So
your
currently,
stuff.
the latencies that are supposed to be reported, but are not yet being reported correctly because of this bug, are supposed to be, at the moment they are latencies over a fixed, well, not fixed. They are latencies over a given moving window,
Okay, yeah.
whose size has a default value of a couple of seconds or something. I can't remember.
Okay.
And you can actually modify it by
Okay.
going in and saying, I want to change the window on this operation size. Or
Uh-huh.
whatever. Of course, 107 doesn't specify. Well, doesn't explicitly specify how that latency 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 average is supposed to be
Calculated. Okay.
calculated, but there's an implication that it's average over all time, whatever all time means. The question is, are we okay to return a windowed average there?
I would say yes. If now you're saying that the default one should be an hour or some crazy thing like that initially, I mean,
Well,
you can. Again, like, what's an average? Like, what would it
Right,
be?
so this-
again?
so-
Your
so,
app
okay,
runs
so-
for 2 hours. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Right, expanding the conversation slightly more. For Ehcache 3, I would like to see, and we know that we want to file an issue for designing a statistics API for Ehcache 3. For Ehcache 3, I would like to have it set up so that you
Use it.
cannot get, what?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You cannot get to a latency without explicitly choosing a window.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. The
There is
user
no default.
asks what he
Because
wants.
what the sensible window size is really, who knows? It's up to you. If you're dealing with a system that deals
Ever
with
feels
events,
like the worst case possible, though. Ever is basically has no semantic.
no, forever makes no sense. I would hazard a guess.
What will it even mean in a EE container where possibly your cache outlives your app, possibly exists for a long time before your app exists?
So here's
So
the thing:
that-
do we take the lack of specification of a time period in 107 to mean we can do what we want, or it must be our best effort at all time?
No, I would make it maybe a long time by default, and I would make it so that people can tweak this.
Well, obviously they can tweak it because they can always gut through to our stuff.
Yeah, sure. Well, again, I think we can do stuff with the config. We can do that's not relevant. People can get to ask whatever they want for real. And I think we should pick a sensible default. And I don't think that ever. I think ever is the worst possible option you could take.
Yep.
So, but I'm willing to be proven wrong. It's fine. I believe it's not what I would have chosen, to put it mildly. So let's try to decide on something that we believe is useful,
Right.
and then we can always let them people change that. And if it turns out that what we decided is an issue with regards to the spec at some point or another, then we change it. It's a bug, and we change it so that we're 107 compliant. Fair enough. We are, but given the former thing where we let people decide on how they want this exposed for themselves, so that's actually ussul, because it's cool to pass a TCK and be compliant and whatnot, but the thing is there and it has no usefulness. What's the point?
Again, we know what they want.
Well, actually, in this case, I don't.
No, in this case, I don't know
I think we
either.
can guess what they. But I think we have an idea.
There's two problems here. One is trying to figure out
Honestly-
what 107 wants, and the second question is
How
trying
it
to figure out
TCK.
what the users really want, because they're not always the same thing.
Right, but we have. Well,
No, basically we need to enable what the user wants within the lines that we have to walk.
Yeah, and I think a
Yeah, the
long
107 now.
time window, but not infinite, is what
No.
they really want here.
Infinite. Anyways, how do you prove infinite, right? I mean,
yeah. What are they gonna?
Well, that's why I
it's
said it
gonna
would always
take a long
have
time.
the
The
best
endless
effort.
TCK just runs forever. To
Yeah,
test
could you come back in 1,000 years or something? We'll see how we're doing by then.
It's like the pitch drop experiment.
You're gonna have to pay maintenance up front, though.
All right, so yeah.
Okay.
So, what do we
So
decide on this?
what?
What do we decide on the latency?
So,
then?
so with the latency, with the time window, we'll make it the default, probably longer than it currently is, like on the order of, I would have said on the order of 5 to 10 minutes.
Can't we make it directly that at the Ehcache level the user provides the value, and in the
We
107
can,
code
but the
we
question is, what are we supposed to be? What is Hung supposed to be doing? Is he
107.
specing a statistics API for Ehcache 3, or is he implementing sufficient statistics
Well,
to use statistics 107?
I think it's a
I
mix
think-
of the two, right? I mean, if you tell me like making that a user specified thing is 2 days of work, then I'm gonna say, all right, forget about it. If you're telling
No.
me it's a couple of,
No,
I don't know, an hour,
okay, so here's the thing.
do it.
Making it user specified is really simple. But designing the API, I don't want to descend into. We know at some point there's a massive task to design the Ehcache 3 statistics API. I don't want to just
So
Like-
how do you specify the default thing now then?
It's hard coded because it has to be, because Ehcache 2x had average stuff that didn't allow you to.
You couldn't, yeah.
The existing Ehcache statistics
No,
API, which we
it's fine.
did-
I don't ask for. I understand the justification. I just wondered how it is being achieved. So yeah, it's okay then. Then keep it
There's
this
a hard
way.
coded default, and you can override it for every statistic by statistic. Is how it's done now.
Which isn't really ever done in 2x.
Well, it's up to users. The methods are exposed to users.
Nobody
But I don't know if anyone does
And
it.
what's the default value? The currently hard coded
It's
one.
like a couple of seconds.
What?
1 second right now. 1
No,
second.
Widen that. Make that. I would say there's something around 5 minutes.
10 minutes, 5 minutes, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put 10 minutes, and
Make
that'd
that
be
7.
all from-
Make that 7.
7.5
Do it,
minutes,
no,
God damn it.
Exactly.
I want it for.
So that's all we're gonna do.
450 seconds, please. Just so that's
51.
an awkward value.
51.
No, I
Make
want
it
it pi
prime.
times
That might be prime. That might be prime.
pi minutes.
Pi minutes.
5
Well,
minutes, but then how do I test it? I will have to run the test for 5 minutes to get this.
No, don't.
No, you don't test that. Just choose a wide enough value, and that's
At
good
5
enough.
minutes is wide enough that your test is going to run, so you don't have to worry about validating that things drop out.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I wanted a large enough value. I guess.
And also, the way that the
In my
window's
mind.
done is that writing a test that is foolproof and doesn't occasionally fail against the winning average would be difficult because it's done in a sort of funky way.
And,
in order
and
to be
anyways,
efficient.
the point being it large enough is so that if you run the TCK on a really crappy machine, you still pass. I'm not sure whether anybody read my mind, but that's what I want to achieve.
Yes.
And 5 minutes provide you with that because the
All right.
TCK runs pretty quickly. The entire suite.
All
Yeah.
right. So
Cool.
that's the extent of my involvement in that latency number then. So if you want to do configuration later on, somebody else have to do it.
Configuration?
Like
Yeah, I mean that's already exposed because at the moment 3 basically has 2x's
Yeah.
API, but we'll fix that later when we revamp
Right.
the whole statistics API.
okay.
All right.
And we can look at the not a number bug outside
Yeah,
this.
Because probably there is some counter not being incremented, right?
There's probably something that's wired weirdly or not connecting or something.
Yeah. Because
Okay, so
not a
here's-
number, I'd like to keep it though, right? If no event happened, I like that the Ehcache stats.
Oh, I know
return.
what it is. I probably actually I may well know what it. Maybe not. Not sure.
So that's
We'll see.
my summary of what have we decided. Just can you go over and make sure we got it right?
Yeah, I will send an email.
Chris has
What-
issue with faith.
Faith?
Whatever, good faith or
Bad faith. Or just generally.
Oh,
bad.
yes.
humanity, faith in its back.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
All right, I guess that's
So no other topic out for discussions.
No,
I'd like-
next week we will in all likelihood be discussing resilience strategies.
Cool. I'll try to be there. I think I should be there.
Oh, of course, you're going to be in India.
Yeah, but
Well,
yeah, I'm probably.
So what time is?
When do you leave, Alex?
Well, I
it's
leave
public
Saturday, but I land in India on Monday.
So this meeting finishes at
Oh, yeah.
1:30 a.m. in India. You realise?
It's okay.
No,
Alex
no,
is a tough
no.
dude, man.
No, it starts at 11:30, right? Am I wrong?
In New Delhi right now it is 1:30. Where are you going to in India?
Bangalore.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, I'm
so-
not sure if they're in the same time zone there.
All of India is in the same time zone.
Yeah, I think there's
Is it?
there's an India Standard Time.
Is it
Yeah,
one
there's-
time?
India Standard Time. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
time zone.
Really?
and
Oh,
it's
sorry.
a half hour off. It's not like by hour.
Yeah, it's a half
it's
hour.
half hour, which
I
is
know. I've got that. That's really annoying.
yeah.
So then, yeah, it's 1:30 right now, Alex. In
So
Delhi.
if that's true, then
We're
I
gonna
need,
drag that sucker out, Alex.
I need to fix the. Is it because something with DST or
Daylight
something? Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. I
'Cause
mean, maybe
that-
unless my clock's wrong.
No, I just searched like Google. It agrees with you, but I think if I look at what I have on the the wiki page says. I think I had IST in there, and looks like I have the
It's
wrong
probably
time.
because but it's.
We
I don't
recently
like
changed.
it 'cause
We recently changed daylight savings
Yeah.
time. So
it'll be our daylight savings time. It's messed it up.
yes.
And they don't do it?
No, because they're so close to the equator.
All right, cool. That's why. Okay, so that's the reason. Cool.
So you want to fix
That's
that.
well, that's
So
fine.
that makes it less likely that you'll be there. Well, depending on
I'll try.
who knows, at that point you'll be on such a weird state of jet lag that you might be wide awake at that time.
Who knows? Maybe there's
No,
internet.
he'll be asleep.
Of course, he may well be awake for other reasons.
Why?
Let's hope not.
Depends how much of the water you drink.
Oh yeah.
Watch
don't
when
do-
when you're in
don't
the
do that.
shower. Watch
You
when you're in
see
the shower.
thunder and there's no video. You can't draw your.
And occasionally no audio
We see video of the bathroom. We're gonna be, kicking you out.
eating you.
What movie was that again? From the Farrelly brothers, I guess, where the guy goes with the mic into the bathroom and doesn't turn the mic off. Yeah, rings a bell. Anyways, Anthony, block methods. Are we good? Is this sort of nearing completion? And
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely good. What we discussed yesterday with Vitaly was
no, I actually sorry. I don't want to know the details. I just want to know if it's about to be merged.
yeah, definitely. It's I just wanted to tell you that those were most of the issues were kind of details, and I'm just rewriting the test so that I'm using mock instead of using my cache writer factory and my cache loader factory. I'm gonna mock them so to make it clearer because Vitaly didn't find this easy to read. So it's just readability.
Okay, if it's that, it's cool. It's obviously you may have a clue. What I care about is that the Java doc is in a fairly good state ASAP.
Yeah. So it's coming up with an X push, meaning
Awesome. That's all I
Mhm.
wanted to know.
But we just removed one sentence for each method.
Yeah,
so-
these are fairly important ones. So
Yeah. I totally agree with you. It just those are the sentences that confuse Vitaly, and for a reason, right? They were confusing. So yeah, it's coming up.
Awesome. All right. No more awesome thoughts on anything, anyone? All right. Make all the magic happen then.
Cool.